I am live. I am reading The Last Barrier. I've had a few days break. I'm in chapter 2. This is the journey of Reshad Feilds, who is in Turkey, and he's met the Sheikh, and we are still in this chapter 2. He had a meeting with the old Sheikh, who was standing at the top of the stairs in front of the rose that was painted on the wall. He leaned forward and called down to me. The translator behind me on the stairs said quietly, "Look back once and remember, don't forget the rose." The man who had acted as translator accompanied me back to the hotel in a taxi. He did not speak, and I spent the time trying to puzzle out what the Sheikh's stories had meant. Suddenly my guide turned to me. "Do you understand," he asked, "why our Sheikh used the example of the turtle to explain something to you?" I told him that I really had not understood much of what had been said and asked him if he could explain. He pondered for a moment. "I will tell you a little more," he said finally, "but you must understand that any answer brings about limitation. The truth is ongoing and beyond explanation, so it is better to be left with a question than to be given an answer. I can offer some pointers for you, but then it is up to you to think about these things in your own time. First, though, let us go to your hotel and have coffee together." It was quite late, and the few people still about were walking hurriedly or sheltering from the rain and the cold wind. Inside the hotel it was warm, and we sat in a corner of the lounge near the fireplace to drink our coffee. The main point that the Sheikh was trying to make to you, you understand that the story was told especially for you, do you not? Was that you and I, all of mankind, are connected by an invisible thread. So you see, whatever is said or done in one place has an effect everywhere else in the world. But the degree of what effect is dependent on our degree of awareness. You have been looking for a guide to help you on your journey. Actually, the guide is always there for everyone. But unless we are awake, we never know that it is so. When the Sheikh said that he does not necessarily know who he is teaching, he was explaining to you that every day he sends a message that spreads throughout the world. And if someone is awake enough, they hear the call. Even if they never meet our Sheikh, even if they are thousands of miles away, they still may hear the inner meaning of what he is teaching, for energy follows thought. On the other hand, we must remember that the seeds may take a long time to grow. What you are hearing from me now, and what you have heard from our Sheikh, will go on unfolding within you for many years, and perhaps a little more understanding will grow as a result of our meeting. The reason that the Sheikh talked about a turtle and not about some other creature is that the turtle is capable of existing both in and out of the sea. She comes out of one world into another to lay her eggs. After they are laid, she returns to the world from which she came. Because everything is connected, she is still connected in the invisible world to the eggs that she has laid. This is the magnetism the Sheikh told of, which, along with the power and warmth of the sun, finally hatches the eggs. For this to happen, it is necessary that there be both the sun and that special sort of energy that comes from the mother to her children. The eggs hatch, but that does not mean that they will all survive. Only those that are strong are able to make their way to the sea, where they may grow large and old and wise enough to be able to return one day and lay their own eggs. Now, do you understand a little better? I am not sure, I said. I think I'm beginning to see, but it will be a long time before I will be able to comprehend what all this means. What I still don't understand at all is the meaning of the death of one of the butterflies. Ah, said the guide, that one is difficult if you are not used to our ways. but it is simple if you understand how the sheikh makes use of stories to illustrate special points. But you must remember that I'm not really explaining anything. You must find your own meaning in what you have heard tonight. Of course, you were one of the butterflies in the story, and our sheikh was the other. He said that the two butterflies flew towards each other, meaning that just as the pupil needs the teacher needs the pupil, so that the message may be passed on. The butterfly here is like the soul. But for true understanding to come about, there cannot really be two souls. Now perhaps you say, my soul or his soul, but for the understanding that you seek to grow within you, it is necessary that the idea of your own soul dies so that you may come upon the one soul. The sheikh liked you, and when he said that the two butterflies meet and one of them died, he was telling you that there will come a time when all that you think you are will die, and then will come understanding. He clasped my hand for a moment and said, if we meet properly, we meet in the heart, and then there is no more you and no more me. Now I must go, my friend. Good luck with your journey. You know it is the only real journey to make in this world. He stood up, shook my hand once more, and was gone. It was late when I went up to my room, but I was wide awake, and there seemed to be little point in going to bed. I sat by the window musing over the shadowed silhouettes of this city, the tiled rooftops, the old European buildings, the modern hotels, and the dark slender fingers of the minarets that would soon echo with the first call to prayer. I watched until the hawkers began to shout in the dark streets, peddling their wares to those on the way to work. Below me there was a muted jingling and the echo of slow footsteps on the cobblestone street. A man emerged in the half-light leading a huge brown bear. He would probably have come all the way from the east of Turkey and now would be taking the animal to dance in the streets or on one of the piers beside the Bosphorus. I pitied the bear lumbering behind him, another performer in this city of contrasts. As the sun came up, I considered how I was to find the second person I had been instructed to meet. Again, I had only a name and no address. But Hamid had said that the man worked in a tailor shop in a street of such shops near the main market. Only if I were sensitive enough would I be able to find the right one. I located the market easily, but finding a particular tailor shop seemed impossible. I spent the morning wandering up and down the streets in and out of shops, watching for some sign to indicate that I was on the right track. Towards afternoon I found myself in the area of the booksellers. I entered one of the shops at random and was immediately attracted by a scroll, beautifully lettered in Arabic script. The proprietor hovered at my shoulder, spoke rapidly to a young boy standing beside the counter. The boy ran out of the store, and with many elaborate gestures, the proprietor invited me to join him for tea in the back of the shop. We were seated across the table from one another, sipping tiny cups of sweetened mint tea, when the boy returned with an older man who said that he would be happy to act as a translator for us. The first thing the bookseller wanted to know was why I had chosen that particular piece of script. Did I understand what it said? When I indicated that I did not, the older man began to translate the words for me. It was the opening verse of the Quran, the daily prayer of every Muslim in the world. In the name of God, the most merciful and the most compassionate. The room was quiet for a moment, and then with smiles and many gestures the bookseller insisted that I take the scroll as a gift. We had talked for a long time, and the bookseller rose and beckoned me into another room. An old man with a huge domed head stepped forward out of the darkness. This one is a real dervish, the interpreter said, and the three of them spoke together in Turkish for a moment. Finally, the old man turned to me and raised his hand, blowing over my head, breathing the word "Hu," just as the sheikh had done the night before. When we were seated again over fresh cups of tea, I told the bookseller about my mission, asking if he knew of the sheikh who worked in a tailor shop. But he merely shook his head. "But how am I to find him?" I asked plaintively. "I've walked and walked and I can't even find the street with a tailor shop, and I don't speak any Turkish." He smiled at the desperation in my voice and stood up, signaling that the meeting had come to an end. The interpreter also smiled as he translated the words of the bookseller. "There is a saying of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Trust in Allah, but tether your camel first. Perhaps you have not worked hard enough on yourself, for if you had, then Allah would most surely guide you to him." I thanked the two men, and as I walked away, the proprietor called out to me, "Salam alaikum, peace be with you." All that day I tramped around the market area, asking in English and in French and attempting to use my Turkish phrasebook, looking for the street of the tailors. The scene took on a dreamlike quality. I felt detached and distant, as though this search might not really be happening at all. Towards the end of the afternoon, as the sun went down behind a blue mosque, and the last call to prayer echoed out from every minaret in the city, I decided to give up. If it had been the right time, perhaps I would have found the man. I knew that I made my best effort that day, and I felt that if it were really important for me to meet him, I would be given another chance. I was exhausted by the time I got back to the hotel, with barely enough energy to wash and meditate briefly before collapsing on the bed. The bus left the terminal for Ankara, my next stop at 6 a.m. Now this was chapter 2, and I read chapter 3 soon.